Hi, welcome to Mango Bay. My name is Brittany. I'm today's guest, or this episode's guest rather. Today we talk about Shetty, self-help, guru, culture, society. Tune in.
Mango Bay, Mango Bay.
Mango Bay.
Mango Bay, Mango Bay, Mango Bay, Mango Bay, your Mango Bay.
For the exclusive content, don't forget to join our Patreon at patreon.com/MangoBay. Mango.
Bay.
Are we rolling? Just bring the mic up to your face. There we go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like not one
Put
race.
the microphone in front of
Brittany
your
has
face.
5 races. Always has been.
She can do anything. She's a true chameleon.
Mostly
Except
Nordic, European.
Yeah. Welcome to Mango Bay.
Are we ready? Well, one-stop shop for South Asian recklessness.
That's
Hello.
true.
We are two best boys, Usama Siddiquee.
Pranav, Behari.
And we bring in the wilderness, the craziness, the
Wilderness.
good stuff. The ne'er-do-well
It's
energy.
really the jungly vibes
Jungly
here.
vibes, the
We're
rapscallions.
joined today. Well, first Patreon. Guys, get on the Patreon, okay? It's growing by leaps and bounds every day. You get bonus content, archived episodes. That's our first, 200 or so. And we're about to add some more into the archive jail.
We say the N-word in some of these.
No, we
do.
don't.
It's a special tier.
No.
Just kidding, obviously.
That's a very special tier.
I say it on free content.
Yeah.
Get on the Patreon. Y'all are loving it.
What
We
else?
are
Discord
loving it.
server.
Discord server.
Yeah.
And then archive. Yeah.
Archive, yeah. A
It's
lot of good
amazing.
stuff.
As always, y'all are jumping in. Today,
Special guest today, we got Brittany Carney.
one of my faves.
One of our favorites. One of our
We
favorite
both-
people,
we-
favorite comedians.
We both loved her separately, and then we both like, oh yeah, Brittany.
Wow, what an
that's
honor.
true.
It's my turn to speak.
Yeah,
Oh.
it is. Anytime
Thank
you
you for
want.
having
Now,
me.
yeah. Women speak now.
I guess if you guys are allowed to say the N-word, then I'm allowed to speak.
I don't like the sound of that.
Whoa! Sounds
I
like
didn't know women's rights came with us being able to with the N-word pass.
It's like
First of all, Brittany is one of the funniest comics in New York.
Absolutely.
One of the most unique, hilarious people. You will not see someone like Brittany anywhere except Bellevue, perhaps. That's true.
Bellevue.
It's a mental asylum.
Bellevue where? What?
It's a mental asylum.
Excuse me?
It's a mental asylum, Brittany. I was joking.
And the way she said "excuse me"
Jesus.
was very much
That
like
was crazy.
"excuse me."
And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm joking.
Where is it?
It's in New York.
It's in New York, but it's an old one. It used to be.
Whoa.
Now it's a hospital. We're just saying crazy and fun.
No, I hear it and I appreciate it.
Of course.
I don't think anyone was. Maybe people were having a lot of fun in their own sense of it or in their own head in an asylum. So
yeah.
yeah, sure.
I guess for an asylum, some people are just like, this is pretty fun.
Yeah,
Some
exactly.
people are just like,
This is nice.
So I was gonna say that, and then I had an image of someone like writhing in a straitjacket, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll step
He's
down."
writhing, but in his head, he's like hearing Margaritaville or something. You know what I'm saying? You don't know.
Yes, that's true.
yeah,
Everybody's beautiful, and everybody's different.
100%.
that's true. Have you guys ever heard of Laborde?
What's that?
No.
Sounds like a French.
This is an
Psychologist.
asylum in France.
Oh.
It was a mental asylum in France, but it was like it was very experimental, where they literally let the patients run
Holy
the
shit.
asylum.
Whoa.
And it was by this guy named who helped organize it, Felix Guattari. He was like a critical theorist from France or whatever.
Interesting.
And there's this amazing video that I saw once, and it was they held like a concert there, and it was like Japanese.
But
Like no dancers or something. I forget what the name of this.
Oh, I know
style
what
of
you're talking
dance
about, like
was.
NOH.
Yeah. There
yeah.
were no dancers, right? And they had like this whole thing there. Yeah.
Like,
There was like yeah.
you know what? Were you there?
I know what you're talking about.
Were you one of the patients? Brittany was
yeah.
admitted there at the time.
Yeah, I
so-
was the dance team leader.
But they were having a good time
Hell yeah.
at this place, and
course.
this is like how the asylum was developed. and
Interesting.
They could access their own pharmaceuticals as they needed to. It was like an open
Hell yeah.
pharmacy type
Don't
sitch.
they always say that music is like the thing that always cures everything? Like, I love stories of like, Jay was eating the walls, but then he heard some bluegrass.
Oh yeah. And then
And he was fixed.
Oh,
Like music seems to be this
I found my
curative.
documents. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm late for work. Fuck.
My documents.
That sounds like there's a lot of autonomy in that, like people, right? That are
Yes,
they're running.
that-
And yeah. But also before, when you initially said they allow them to run, and before you were like mid thought, and so before you finished your sentence, I was just like, oh, so they just let them like run, like across the field to get wiggles out, which also
Do they have
sounds
the zoomies?
therapeutic. Yeah.
Let's go,
Then
guys.
the
Anyway.
orderlies are
Yeah.
betting. They're setting up races.
That's what I'm saying. The slowest one doesn't get food that day or something. Are you? Wait. So you're. But we spoke about Japan a second ago. You're from Japan.
Yeah. Yes.
You're Japanese.
I'm a quarter Japanese, and I was like raised there. Yeah.
You know Japanese.
I know Japanese.
Moshi moshi.
Moshi moshi. Moshi moshi.
Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
We love it.
Onegaishimasu.
I'm a big Japanophile.
You're.
We talked about this
Osama's
before.
Japanese is really. I don't know who I'm looking at. Really, the void. But Osama's Japanese is really good.
Most dudes in America are Japanophiles,
Yes. Because
Yeah.
the culture, the Bushido code is very like male centric. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Go hustle hard.
Yeah.
The philosophy, you know.
I think about this a lot. Like Japan as a modern, like a contemporary society, is really patriarchal, but very different from the West. You know, because it's not like faith based or whatever.
Sure,
it's
sure.
like it's just it's like a Confucian thing.
Right.
It's like we honor the one above us, so it's male.
It's so rigidly hierarchical, but it's so
Yeah.
it's always so weird to me that when you're addressing your senior, they address you in like the female grammatical form.
What is this?
Wait. You're talking about in Japanese?
Yeah.
Like
if you're talking to your boss, he'll address you in like using the female
it's
grammar or whatever.
it's
What is
like
that?
it's not necessary. You're on the right. You're on the ticket. Is that an
Valid
expression?
riff from Pranav.
It's like not necessarily gendered, but it's totally like. But they're okay. But it's connected because it's like it's more like little guy. There's a form of language that's honorable, which is what you use for someone you're speaking to, like above you, right? And then to your point, there is a form of like grammar that you use if you're speaking to somebody below you.
Yeah.
Wait, so you use chan for somebody below you in
Yeah,
work setting?
but not in a work setting.
Okay,
Chan
right.
is not in a work
Chan
setting.
is some cute shit.
But and
Chan
Chan
means
is sorry, go ahead.
no. I'm sorry. I'm saying Chan means like puppies, bubblegum.
Chan's like
Yeah.
cute girl, like you
Girl,
call a
yeah.
little girl Chan. But then also like it's kind of interesting. Well, obviously, language evolves, right? So you wouldn't say Chan in a work setting, like at all, unless really you were working in like it's like an artisanal. It's like a it's like a bakery or a bar or something, you know, where the formal rules don't apply.
Yeah.
Artisanal.
Artisanal knife shop. I don't know. So, but a Chan is like girl is Chan, and
Yes.
then maybe like grandma is Chan, right?
Okay, sure,
or like
sure.
grandpa even. Chan, you can. It's gendered, but you can play with the gender based on the context. And what's kind of happening now, that's kind of interesting and cute, is like, you know how in American English, like feminine gay men will be like blah blah girl.
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
they call it. You can call each other like nani chan, like whatever chan in Japanese. Like
so
yeah.
gay Japanese guys will just go full Chan.
Yeah, and they're also using the term for lady or girl like in the ways that we would use in
Right.
like
I
American
love
gay
it.
English. Isn't that interesting?
Ooh, that is fun.
Every dude, when I was younger, I had like a huge like Japanese literature phase. where
Oh,
I was-
cool. Oh, yeah,
I was
sure.
obsessed with Mishima.
Oh yeah, Yukio.
I was obsessed with like Kawabata and like
Cool.
all those guys. They're like amazing authors too.
These people who like killed themselves.
Mishima, actually,
Mishima.
both him and Kawabata.
Yeah.
Kawabata gassed himself. Yeah. And Mishima had
Just found out.
Yeah,
Just found
she was
out.
very Japanese. She was like,
Whoa! She has her own knife ready to go. I will be your kaishikunen. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Japan has a thing with that.
yeah.
Whoa!
Speaking of mental health.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big just anime kid. I was
Oh,
an
cool.
anime fandom.
Is there a particular one that you liked or like no?
Yes, octopus fucks landlord.
I was waiting for that.
I got you, buddy.
It's squid genre.
Hentai fan.
Yeah,
Yes.
cool.
No, I'm just a big like DBZ shonen anime.
Oh, cool.
I went to Japan. A couple years ago.
Oh, right,
Went
right.
to Akihabara. Played in those like Bro, have I told you about these? Like they have these like multi-tiered arcade houses.
Yeah.
And it's as you get more and more up, it gets more and more incel, right?
So it's like a video
It's
game
like a video
itself
game.
that you're in.
And at the fourth level, it's the guy who shits into a wire, and the wire goes into a bag or something. They haven't seen their moms in 9 years. The fourth floor is the most Japan guys, sweaty, smelly and sweaty.
It's actually just all white dudes up there, autistic white dudes at the top floor.
From Ohio.
Exactly. Ohio.
Literally Ohio. Literally
good.
Ohio.
Akihabara is where we would go to get like Christmas decorations. So I have just a different.
Okay.
I don't think I ever experienced Akihabara as like an adult consuming culture. Yeah, it's just where there's still a lot of tech stuff.
I'm starting to see a lot of like in my algo. I don't know what it is. A lot of Japan interviews with like sort of like people who are like, yes, I'm not translucent, so they call me the N-word all the time.
Oh
in
yeah,
Japan.
yeah.
I wonder what's up with your
fetus-
algorithm, Usama.
Seems like I asked for it. I keep typing it in for some reason. But
N-word person.
N-word person. N-word person.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
did you experience that? Is that something that...
oh yeah, but
my
I don't
God.
think I realized it when I was young. I have a memory of my dad not getting served because the thing about Japan is like, well, it's not like obviously we have a civil rights act for a reason because we went through all this stuff on our soil and had to go to this legislator to change things. Like to my understanding, and forgive my ignorance if I'm wrong, but like Japan doesn't have any similar kind of like concrete anti-discrimination law. There's nothing. So there's a whole notoriously like especially late night bars or really local places might bar foreigners from coming in under the guise of like, well, we don't speak English, so we don't want to deal with this. But I have a memory of like my dad not getting served by a kind of like a food truck, like serving chicken on a stick sort of thing. And
Seems like that'd be the perfect people to buy it, though.
yeah, I know, and especially
Not
because
gonna sell
we're
black guy fried
with
chicken,
my
like, Jesus.
Filipina babysitter. So both, those people know chicken, right? But
I mean, who else are you gonna sell to, buddy?
so I have that memory, but then I don't think I thought about it personally until I was older, and I was a junior in college, and I went to Japan for my junior year. So I was like at a university kind of further out in the boonies, the relative boonies in Japan, and that was my first time in that kind of setting because obviously I had never been at a Japanese university before.
Right.
And then so I was one of the few like foreign student, or like, I was one of the few international students who weren't like, there was like 1 million Chinese students and some Koreans and like 3 Germans and then me. So
It was like foreigner university, pretty much.
Well, no, opposite.
Okay.
But in that we created a little.
Okay. This is your
our little
faction
thing,
of
my
I got
faction.
you, yeah.
But it was truly, so we would, so it was like me and the Chinese students all had each other because there was like so many of them that were there because it's an easier like. It was like an international program essentially.
Imagine being so discriminated that you're like, let's go find some Germans.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
We have to take refuge with the Germans.
And yeah, exactly.
Imagine being so hated that the Germans are your refuge.
Speaking of the N-word, okay, so then wait, so that didn't. It's actually this whole year of my life was like. I'll finish my first thought first, which is that I feel like I learned a lot about Japanese xenophobia on a first-hand level. But in a way that I did not at all process when I was young necessarily. And I remember emailing my parents and being like, this keeps happening. And then my dad was like, basically, welcome to the club. Right. You're a woman now. But I had this thing happen because I was friends with a handful of German students. And there was one student, like my I was like really close with this one German girl, and then she left, and then her replacement was this like the other girl that was from their university in Munich. She was Polish, and she said the N-word, not to me. She didn't call me the N-word, but this was like Obama just got elected, and we were talking about this whole thing is so complicated.
Keep going.
Okay, so basically we were talking about like Republicans that don't like Obama or Obama's policies just because he's black, and her point was like, yeah, what happens if you're they don't let you get an abortion even if you're like blank if you're like R word or you know what R word I'm talking about. And then there's two, but I mean one specifically, and then or like
I only know of one.
We know.
Which one are you talking about?
live.
Anyway, go on.
so or like blank or like what if you're and then she just said it like hard R because she was coming from this kind of like pro like left leaning perspective trying to make fun of a Republicans perspective in 2008.
The classic, it was just in the quotes.
Yeah.
Version of the N-word.
Yeah, so like hard R, and I was like, I didn't really know how to respond, and I was younger, so I think now I would have said something, obviously, but I just sort of like was like, yeah, what about that? And then, later I told the Germans, like the dudes. I was like, she said this, and I was like kind of surprised because I would have assumed she would have known that you wouldn't say that.
Right.
And then they were so apologetic because they were like, the Polish students, they don't know. Because the thing about Germany
like, those
is
stupid Polacks, the Polacks really don't know. We tried to take care of them, back in the 30s, but...
Right.
How dare they say the N-word and they use the N-word for Polacks?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah, that's
how
stupid.
dare those N-word
Yeah.
Polacks say the N-word?
Yeah.
Insane.
Anyway, it's just a little cultural moment.
I feel like the Civil Rights Act in Japan is just to codify racism.
Yeah.
They probably do have
totally.
one, but it's just like,
Yeah.
here's all the rights you don't have.
Here's how you're supposed to look.
There's a Bushido code for how to be more racist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like how to be the best racist. What is it called? Ikaido? Ikigai. Whatever.
Ikigai, how to live, how to be. Yeah, basically that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like
How to...
I remember when I went to India, I don't think I heard the N-word more than when I went to Mumbai.
Interesting.
And Gurgaon.
In-
Gurgaon more. Because they're
Just
all
like
rap.
conversational.
They're
Yeah,
all
that's what
rap
I
fans.
thought.
rap
Yeah.
So it was done with the utmost of respect, but I
Totally.
don't think it got to them that like it's also racist.
They're like N-word G.
Arey bhai
N-word
sahab.
G.
I think
G
that
is the honorific.
happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think
I
that...
added Chen afterwards, says the Japanese racist.
Oh,
I said the N-word, then I added Chan. It's fine.
right. Cancels each other. Because I'm one of the... I think like that... But that happens a lot. Like, I feel
crazy.
like brown... Like... Filipinos famously, I feel like they say it a
This is
lot.
the second Filipino slander we've made today. We got a little beef. We got a little beef coming. We got a little lechon style beef here.
This just comes out gradually.
I'm seeing a little bit of a bubbling here.
What were you saying, Brittany? Sorry.
Oh. What was... just... Okay, Asians who rap say the N-word. That's not my point. And I noticed this. And I think it's like, well, they say it probably more comfortably than I do,
Yes.
to be honest. So
I guess it is like a vibe thing too.
I think it's a vibe thing.
It's a vibe thing, right? Like there are some comics, like my dude comics who are black, but they're bespectacled and wayfish. You know?
Yeah.
And then they see an N-word and you're like, nobody felt that one.
Yeah,
Nobody
I know.
felt that good.
I'm like, I need to see your pass, sir. Can I see your papers?
Can I get a blacker guy reference for you?
Yeah.
Maybe someone with a teardrop tattoo saying you can say it, please, sir.
That's so funny, and that's why I don't even try. Oh.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Patreon. Brittany, I mean, you're such a cosmopolitan person. You're not. The first time I met you, I was like, this person, first of all, the stage presence crazy, the wild jokes. You're from Japan. Black, allegedly. Were you always other? Were you always? Is that always a thing? Because I think the best comics that I like are always the weirdos. This guy was like a miscreant. This guy was with misdemeanors and
I'm
stuff.
a miscreant.
I was like a cockeyed weirdo,
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's the same ilk.
I love others. I love little freakies in your world. Yes, I don't know. I guess I've always felt other, and I think part of it is because we like had to move around a bit, but definitely I would say even as a kid when we were in Japan, like I had many friends that were half Japanese, but they're all half white.
Oh, right.
And so
right.
even in the like
That's like ultra white.
it kind of is.
like
It's like
you're like
model
110%
minority
white.
plus the dad's French or something like that. So that was like a lot of where I went to elementary school, and I don't think I thought about it so often, except for when like we would be in the pool and we would pretend to be, I don't know, like mermaids and talk about our hair, or like I would be that kind of stuff, like little girl stuff.
That's fascinating. Like those innocuous games.
Yeah.
that really start to show you the otherization
right
of people. Holy shit.
Like you know that show Pen 15? They have a whole Spice Girls thing where they give the Japanese American girl scary spice because she's tan.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the level of like kid microaggression that felt. I know that's different from my experience. In fact, it's kind of like, yeah, I was scary spice in the 5th grade because, or I would play Spice Girls with friends even in like late middle school, late elementary school. But I would be scary because it just felt like that's what I had to be. So I feel like, I think I felt other in these different ways, and then I also was a really terrible student. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, like terrible.
I got straight A vibes from you.
I really was not a straight A student, but it's because I have like just like a very intense ADHD. So I feel like since I was little, there were certain classes that I would thrive in, or teachers that believed in me. And it's not like I was ever rebellious. I just wasn't very good at like paying attention during homework. I was actually atrocious. And so many of my close friends from growing up, even into high school, were very high achieving Ivy League students. And I didn't share that with them.
This is exactly my thing as well. I was like really bad in school because I couldn't focus at all.
Right.
But
Yeah.
all my friends were like going to Ivy League colleges and shit.
Yeah.
That was
Y'all-
my
y'all-
cohort, weirdly enough.
Totally. That's a real
Y'all
thing.
two are very, very smart people, and I see y'all as very smart people. And it's very surprising, right? I don't know, maybe it's like your vocabularies are so high that I'm just like, oh, they must be geniuses from the kid zone.
I don't know.
I guess y'all would also have an issue with like grades sometimes.
Yeah, we have been talking about the N-word a lot, so vocab points for sure.
I think that, well, I don't know. I think I've always read a lot.
Okay.
I think I have an excellent vocabulary. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I think that, I don't know, that's just out of my own interest, because I've all my life struggled to tap into something that I'm not naturally interested in, and that's really been a lot of my struggle
What do you mean,
professionally.
like in life?
Just in life,
Trying
it's so,
to do something
I feel
you-
like it hurts, like a task, like a form of tedium or something.
And you go into it. You're like, you want to go into it. You're saying
Something I don't like.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you throw it away.
I just can't start it.
can't
It
do
takes
it.
me. It's like as a kid, it would be like.
Got you.
That's why certain things in school were really exciting, or I was able to thrive. But it would take. I had to be like handheld a lot through a lot of things, or like, Brittany, show us your homework assignment book at the end of the day. And so actually, as we moved around, because we lived in Singapore when I was like from 4th to 6th grade.
Twist again. What?
So-
Sure.
And like similarly, even there, I went to Singapore American school, and I had a black teacher 5th grade.
Here we
She was
go
like the
again.
only black, only black person in school. Me, I was the only black kid, right? And I was really struggling in this math class, and she was like crying about it because she didn't want the little black girl to.
Oh my God, no.
That's like an enormous amount of guilt to put on a kid in a weird way. I would feel.
Yeah,
I would be like, oh,
I
fuck.
remember it.
I got to deal with my parents now. This bitch is crying
yeah,
about my grades too.
So
Can I miss one question in class and you miss out the square root of 144? She starts crying. That's trauma.
That's
Immediately.
another.
Oh God.
Just like I remember that in this other math, this was also in Singapore American school. So like it was a teacher had offered everyone, okay, if we all complete both sides of this like assignment, then you'll get to come in and have this dessert that I make that involves Oreos. Okay. And this was 5th or 6th grade, and I thought that I did it. So I was so proud of myself that I like properly followed through with an assignment.
Incredible.
And I missed the back.
Ooh.
I just
the
didn't see
page?
it. And usually my parents were so on top of me getting my homework done because they were like pretty strict about it because I was just terrible at it. But I don't know, it fell through the cracks, and I didn't get to have this like class dessert. So that my whole life is full of that.
Because of the teacher. And this is the same teacher?
Yeah.
This.
Wow.
Or not, this is a different teacher. But
Okay.
And then in high school I was in Pennsylvania, but like seriously, my best friends from high school all went to one went to Harvard, one went to Columbia, one was into Yale. They each were extremely high achieving girls who then went to get PhDs at Ivy Leagues or higher degrees at Ivy League schools. Like my core people, and then also friends from younger childhood, and also my sister. And I just I've never had that. And that I think that But I've never felt not like curious or like I was uptaking in the world, if that makes sense.
I always saw you as someone who was delightfully engaged in her weirdness and delightfully proud of it and stuff like that. Like, on stage, you're never like not doing exactly what you want to do, which I love that.
But I mean, I don't know if I think sure. I think I am. I feel so proud of it as just an adult, and I you only have yourself, right? So
100%.
I think through all that stuff, because that was like maybe more embarrassing when I was a kid. I've never not loved what parts of me make me me. It's just that I struggled a lot and I felt alone in those.
It's a very difficult road because you like this stuff. Because I relate to this a lot, right? I was also a bad student. All my friends were very smart, though, which was a weird thing, right?
But pause. See, that's not connected. I know this from teaching. Like, you can have like a very sharp kid, and he just isn't doing homework.
No, that's 100%, dude. That was me because, like you, I was extremely literate though growing up.
Right,
as a kid, I loved to read all the time. The only reason I got into college is because I scored a perfect on the verbal SAT. Right.
Oh,
and
right.
then the other part,
totally.
I was like, I just didn't give a fuck. And I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I fully relate to that because, you're getting a lot of pressure, right? And especially the Indian parent thing is definitely a big, my brother was very smart and he went to like med school and all that stuff. And so my parents were like, hey, come on, lawyer track. That's you. You're going to do that because whatever. And I just couldn't fucking do it. You know what I mean? As much as I wanted to be that for my parents, I couldn't do it. And so, but I liked who I was, and everybody around me would validate it in ways because I was very funny and kind of off the wall and weird. And so I liked that part of me, yet at the same time, it was very punishing as well.
I understand that.
It's like Indian parents will take your skill and then funnel it into their dream for you. Like, he's a reader.
Yeah.
Law.
That's exactly what it was.
You read.
Yeah.
Prescriptions require reading.
Exactly.
When you write them.
Totally what it is.
That's awesome. Like taking little things that are like that would feed into like a humanities mindset or profession and like channeling it into a hard STEM or concrete.
For my parents, it was literally like, he doesn't shut the fuck up. I guess he'll be a lawyer. Like that was literally it. You
like talking?
Yeah. This one's a talker.
I get it. I think it's I like seeing someone realize their potential, and I think when you see stand-up people who are hilarious, you cannot be the funniest version of yourself unless you're the most you version of yourself.
I believe that so fully.
And the people who are clicking into that sort of journey, and there's two ways to do it, right? Either you do it for a demographic. I'll be gay Mexican for this crowd, and I'll be a gay Mexican comic, right? Woo! And Gabriel Iglesias has been doing that very well for a long time. Or you go into the thing where it's like, when people say, what's your voice? It's like, I can't just give you 2 words.
You go, really? What if you go too deep? You're like, I'm a pedophile. Actually.
I found the core.
That's my thing. I'm actually the pedophile comic. Fuck.
Gay Mexican pedophile on certain rock gigs.
And Fluffy's really changed since his watermelon bit. But what do you see as like the journey? You're going deeper into yourself. Every time I see you, the bits are getting weirder, more fun, and somehow more universal. You know what I'm saying?
trying.
Which I love.
I'm trying. I think that's been a big process for me. One is like, how can I get these people just to trust me from the beginning? Because often they just think I'm an alien, I've learned that the hard way, like over and over and over and over again. But that's just how you get better at your own comedy, right?
If someone saw Brittany Carney's just a video without any sound, it would look like she's doing the Nutcracker. She's doing like some sort of Russian ballet.
Prancing around.
And when she had the braids back then, when she had the braids too, like just...
I love having braids on stage because they feel like another arm.
Right.
But, or 25, I don't know. Yeah.
All right, love that. I love that.
I think that I've been going on the road more and more over the past 2 years to more like just wherever in America places, and that's important to me to continue to like to grow and become and figure out ways that I can put myself in different environments. So I think that's forcing me, and also just club spots in New York. You have to figure out how to find different gears for yourself that make sense, that are authentic, and then also audience like snaps into it. And it's also, so I think through all of that, I'm figuring out gradually how to become more universal because I just have to, or else it doesn't work. And that's very frustrating. It's frustrating to not do well because they're still trying to figure out what you're saying or who you are. That feels like not what comedy should be about, right?
I think so. I that mix, right? Be yourself as possible, as most possible, but also have the Venn diagram of your life intersect that of the crowds.
Yeah.
You know, the real quick thing I'll say is like, you know, those like every comic does their special for their people, and you see their own crowd going,
right.
I want to see a special where it's like, Corey Holcomb does special for pink-haired lesbians only.
Yeah, that's
I
fascinating.
want to see that special where like now you're in a place where you're not supposed to be, and I want to see those lesbians go crazy for Corey Holcomb. And that would be like the most affirming comedy special of all time. Like, oh,
yes,
you're so funny that the diametrically opposite person is loving you.
Yes, totally. And that's why I have a little thing where I love, okay. I feel like actually, if I have any audience that cares the most about me, it's just like white baby boomer, like NPR boomers. But that's not really what I'm talking about right now. What I mean is like when it's like I don't know, just white people, like conservative whoever that just come to a random comedy show. I love that, and I want to do when I go on the road. I love in a city I was whatever. I was just in Chicago, I'm going to Boise soon. Both. Oh please, somebody might 23rd, 24th. I'm in Boise, Idaho. I have no idea what.
Maybe they'll just see your last name. They'll be like, "Carnival's coming to town."
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, and
Carney.
Brittany's playing at the carnival.
If
Where's your beard?
Yeah.
I was promised a
My
beard.
Nutcracker rat head costume. So I it's like I want to figure them out, and even it might just even mean that they're like, oh, I know. Okay, here's an example of what I mean. Like I was in Cleveland, and this was not an independent show. This was at a club, and I was kind of randomly on this lineup, and then in the middle of a bit, I heard a man in a warm way, like he was laughing, but he was saying like. What is she talking about? And if that's like what it is, like that's fine. I want to tap into that as well with people that I wouldn't normally be performing for. I think that's so important.
Hell yeah.
I think that's so good though, because the person who's like, "What is she talking about?" while enjoying it, they're taking that home with them.
That's real.
Oh,
you know what
I
I mean?
appreciate that, and I would too if I were like, "What?" Like I don't know if it was somebody that I was so unfamiliar to me. I guess.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
And then, so the other night, was it last week? I was at City Winery, is a place here, obviously in New York, and I was opening for 2 different comedians in one night, and their audiences were like so. I guess I'll just have to say who they are. So I was opening for Todd Barry at 7:30. In this lounge upstairs, and then Stavros Halkias downstairs. And the way that the crowds trickling in for both shows looked so obviously like a lot.
For that person, yeah.
Yeah, but so I was really proud of myself for figuring that kind of night out.
I love it.
That's great.
I fucking love that.
And I don't want to lose that ever. I don't want to get soft in that way.
Right.
So.
I would love to see like a massive Greek-looking diner owner, and then he goes in the Todd Barry line, or like,
yeah. Speaking of what you're talking,
interesting. You don't know people until you.
Right, and that's a big lesson in comedy, right? We don't know people. Like people have all these layers, and so Anyway, I forgot what your question was, but
No, you're right. You're on the money. It's just the idea that when you're doing stuff for yourself, you don't realize how much congruence is actually there. You have a concept like, oh, I'm so unique, and no one will ever get me if I talked about exactly who I was, and that's not true because you are a human living in this plane of reality. So inevitably, a white Republican could have some things in common with you.
Yeah.
Potentially. Like, it's very obvious.
sometimes people just like silly, or if it's about a human experience, to your point.
I will say this. I will revert back to my shittiest self if I see a white blonde girl who's hot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Look at me with that, like, hot girl, like, what? That face will buckle me. Because that's what my kid thing was so afraid of.
I understand.
White girl's like, I start getting angry. I'll use my power for evil.
I bet they love
I'm
you.
like, well, some don't. Because again, they're also dealing with the fact that a brown man has power over their space.
Yeah, I see.
Which
Right.
they never are not used to.
Totally.
And I'm only used to them having power, so then I buckle negatively against that. So now I'm calling her the C word. I'm calling her the F word. I'm saying the N word to her for some reason.
Yeah.
Why I'm doing that, I don't know.
Calling her Filipino.
The worst of all. The worst of all, Filipino, of
You're
course.
using Japanese racial slurs at this point. You're talking to her in Japanese.
I'm saying gaijin and stuff. What am I on right now?
Fucking round eye bitch.
Fucking has eyes, bitch, you know? Japanese military.
I mean, that is like my kryptonite as a demographic in an audience is like hot white girl.
God, I can't.
I'm just like,
you don't know me.
I don't.
You
need
know
you
what
to-
that to me? My response to that is like, oh, you. Especially when they stare at me, that look like they're.
That's
you
your
know what I'm
version of
saying?
my like.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
My feeling is honestly like, okay, it's two things. One is like, oh, we would not have hung out at camp because you would have thought that I was too weird or whatever. And that makes me feel hot and powerful and so unafraid. Like I feel so like,
Nice.
oh, she doesn't get me, but it's not my problem. And I think that took some time to find, on stage.
yeah.
But I feel that way genuinely.
It's power
And
because it's almost like you're seeing where y'all demarcate, and that's its own power. Like, oh, I'm not you, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and
But also, I would never do this in a crowd on a human level.
How rude is that?
That's shitty
Yeah.
too. So not just on some we're different. Like, no, you're a bitch. Actually, also, like we're not just different people living life. It's like you're bad. You're bad.
You're so right. I forgot about that.
Right.
I can't. There's so many ways that an audience member responds. Where I think when I think about it, I'm like, how aren't you in public with decorum? Like you can't just make a mean face.
I guess I say this sometimes on stage. Now I said this yesterday when a girl was just like yelling out. I was like, and they couldn't begin to have this conversation. I was like on stage. This joke was being destroyed by this white girl who just kept talking. I was like, you think every space is yours, and you think you're entitled to every space, and she was like, what are you even done? What?
Why does this guy keep talking? She's just still in her conversation.
Is this Sanskrit? I'm like, but that's exactly what it is. But she couldn't begin to understand it because if she did, she wouldn't do this at a show.
I don't know if you guys ever get this though, where you pick up the vibe of a crowd and it makes you lean into the shittier part of yourself just to be punitive.
Oh, sure.
Sometimes,
Sure.
You mean like you're going off on them, or like a bit that you have?
It's like bits that I have where I'm like, I didn't like that. They're gonna fucking hate this, and I need to please myself this way.
Yeah.
It's like a really it comes from a just inky
It's like the Billy Mays
abyss
effect.
within me.
What do you mean by
It's
that?
the Billy Mays
Who's
effect.
Billy,
Where like
who's Billy Mays?
the OxyClean guy. So basically, it's like you hate this cum bit, but wait, there's more.
Right,
And then
right.
you go double cum.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the Billy Mays effect in my opinion, where you just keep saying, but wait, there's more. Oh, you think that's bad? Here's this thing that I got for you. And
Like
let me just
infomercial.
yes.
Yeah.
Is that what? Is that what? Am I getting the?
I don't know if
reference?
he needed to say the Billy Mays effect, like this is like a law of physics or something. But
This is what I call the Billy Mays.
Yeah.
It is not I know this is not a thesis you could do. This is a thing. This is the Usama world now. And I'm sorry.
I did this weekend.
What?
Like I had a horrible
The Billy
bomb
Mays
this
effect.
weekend. It was the Billy Mays effect, where I got up and I tried to just like do a little riffing up top, and the crowd was already kind of mid.
Okay.
And part of me was coming from this thing of like I was just really feeling myself. I was coming off like a real hot kill streak in comedy. I was just killing
yes,
nonstop.
that's so
And I
hot.
kept telling you, I was like, Pranav, you need to just be 100% you, man. And then I went to this show, and it's a packed show. And I came in hot, making fun of Timothy Chalamet. Wrong audience for that, right?
Oh.
What's the joke? It was a great joke.
It was not. It was somebody at the top of the show was like, "Yeah, Timothy Chalamet is a Muslim, Dune." I was like, "He looks like he's been doing Ramadan." Crickets. Nobody liked that.
I love it.
It's funny. And then I was like, "He should be playing Anne Frank, though, if you know what I'm saying, because he looks like Anne Frank to me." Then somebody, to somebody in the audience goes, "Ooh."
What was that? Wow,
like
keep
that.
this going on the Patreon.
We got to plug Brittany before we take
Yeah,
it over to the
oh,
Patreon, because
yes.
we're about to talk about Jay Shetty too. So let's stretch it out a little bit and then go to the Patreon.
Yes.
Okay, Brittany, do a quick plug.
Okay, April 5th, my special is coming out on YouTube.
Watch it.
.com. It's called That Is My Horse. Please watch it.
It's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible.
Anything else?
That is my horse.
Any Boise shows and stuff coming up?
Yeah, March 23rd.
She's doing like a redneck comedy tour.
Yeah, just throughout Idaho. It's the spud. It's the spud.
18,
tour.
18 dates. 15 Idaho cities.
I don't have a driver's license. I'll figure it out.
She's going to be at
So in a
numerous
wagon.
Idaho state fairs.
She'll be playing basketball with one of those hoops with no nets.
Yeah. I'm at Tree Fork Comedy Festival in Boise. Just also please. Oh, and my Instagram where I post about all this stuff is Brittany Goblin Carney.
Yeah.
Can you follow me, please?
So what happened at the show was they weren't going for these riffs, and I got punitive, where I was like, "Oh, you don't like that," and I just went into a bunch
full
of
blast.
new, kind of aggressive bits. not the smart. You put those in the middle if you want to do the new shit. I came out immediately with the new, and they were just so appalled by the first actual joke. I was like,
they were like a Gen Z
kind of,
like,
but they weren't not like the blue hair kind of Gen Z. They were all on like the Lower East Side. They were
Yeah,
gonna go to clubs and
it's
roofie
not a
each
great
other.
audience.
It's not a good audience.
No.
And then from there, I was just like, you know what? Even then, the bits of mine that were just good and that are good for all audiences and that usually kill, they were just like, nah.
Interesting.
I got a couple pops in, but it was really just like,
But now you're like bad guy doing a couple of pops. Like,
yeah,
they've seen-
exactly.
as a
fascinating.
comic, seeing it is fascinating. To see the person like crack a little bit, and now they're on this like the radioactive ooze of their persona is coming out.
Yeah.
And it's fucking kind of everywhere. You're like, ooh, this is like.
But you know,
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
is.
crack in the
yeah.
sense where I
I've
started
been
to
there.
get hostile. I
Yeah.
was just like, this is my art, guys. I guess this is my art. I just kept
I'm-
telling fucked up
That's
jokes.
awesome.
One time, my boy, I think it was like an Indian Uncle Fest.
Oh, cool.
And these were like the worst version of the Indian uncles, the ones who want to be white leaning, and they're like, "Oh, my kids go to boarding school and shit like that."
Right.
And then Pranav like says some stuff or says one joke, and they're like, "Hmm." And then Pranav looks at them. This has a little second, and he's like, "A lot of birds have diarrhea, don't they?"
That's incredible.
Yeah, I do lean into it. So,
That's
but I
good.
think also when you're at a point though too,
There's
kinda
something
have
freeing
to.
about tanking.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
yeah.
I've done, or I don't know. Also, I don't really particularly I can't get that. Whenever I've come close to being kind of mean on stage, it doesn't go over comfortably at all because I'm not like that. So that everybody's unsettled and they're like, what?
Brittany
I'm like,
mean
lock the doors.
Would be
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah.
I've seen you mean. You've always been just a delightful person.
Or like, I have to, if I'm going to try to rib the audience or try to confront them, it's taken a lot of work on figuring out the right tone. And but
Brittany ribbing would be like very literary too. Like, you are not unlike an oath.
like a Shakespeare insult.
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately,
A
that's
pox
true.
upon thee, thy foul woman.
Right.
One might say that you are not of the mental sense even.
I'm really sad to say that I feel like that's accurate, but yeah.
Which
Well,
we love.
And then what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the instinct about so I feel like if I'm just not doing well, like on stage, I have and I want to, and there is a new joke that I want to do, or one that I at least enjoy, and kind of think they won't like it. I've done that before. It is kind of like, well, I'm going to do this one now. Like I have one that's not. It has such a 0.5% rate, but it's about sweat, like smelling like onions.
I love it already.
And no one. I don't know why it's
How do
so
you
hard to
keep-
get.
keep going, just go
Oh
ahead.
sure, okay. It's like, do you guys think sweat smells like onions? And then so maybe that's the problem. I shouldn't frame it like that. But
No, I think you should, 100%.
oh, what do I say
next?
now? Okay, okay.
Next.
So I'll say, I think on a giving day, I'm serving brown Vidalia, and I'm not ashamed because I think that onions cooking are one of the most delicious smells my nostrils can fathom. And then the real joke, the joke is that there's this like love apple thing. Like, there's like a party trick.
What are you talking about?
Tell us.
Please go.
It's Cleveland all over again. Okay. And I feel comfortable saying this on this platform because it's not really a joke that I think I'll put in. But it's like, so there was this party trick called Love Apple in the 19th century, and women of a certain class upper that would slide.
Put their
Yes.
apples in their
Yes,
armpits
in
and
their
have them
armpit.
smell the.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, they would present it to a gentleman of interest so that he can take in her aromatics. And if I did that, I feel like he'd be like, "Can I have this? I'm trying to make a bolognese." And it just doesn't have a lot of success. But sometimes it does.
It's a really high level riff, though. You're going into history, Victorian
Like
customs,
pasta sauce.
yeah, and then all the way into a bolognese recipe.
Hilarious. First of all, I'm dying. I wish that somewhere
Thank
that
you,
you'll have that
Usama.
joke. Now that's what I call jokes volume 7.
It's great.
You know what's crazy is those women would put their apple in their armpit, and then basically the man could say no. So if he'll like taste it, be like, not of my preference, and then she has to now take this armpit apple, half bitten like a fucking Apple logo.
What do you think she does?
And then she has to keep going.
Oh, right.
And then the weirdest, creepiest dude is like, I want the apple.
And then she's
This
like,
is a sketch.
Yeah,
Oh.
100% a sketch.
It's never the guy you want.
It's always the
You know?
weirdo who got 9 apple slices in his mouth. Like,
yeah.
I love these.
They're
Anyway.
like, oh.
It's and then the pineapple
brown.
thing in their pussy. Remember that one?
I didn't hear about that.
I'm
That's
just kidding,
fast.
but
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
That's
what
where the
like
phrase comes
Victorian courting practices book does Usama have?
The prickly pineapple in the pussy from the Victorian.
Prickly pineapple in the pussy.
That's more like a torment of the Dark Ages, you know? We're like, we must give her the apple of pain.
The Spanish Inquisition, you didn't know.
She cheated on a husband.
It's like a Doja Cat lyric or something.
Top 5
Doja Cat.
indie Spanish Inquisition the methods on BuzzFeed. Quickly, let's get out here. We got to go to the patreon.com/Mango Bay. We're going to talk about Jay Shetty and he's a hack.
Jay Shetty's getting canceled by The Guardian.
Come on down.
Et cetera, et cetera. Come on down.
Your mango bay.